Let me share my screen. I hope you can see the slide on innovation. And I hope this will project. If this will not project, it will really defeat the purpose of having to insert here a video. We should be giving you the introduction to innovation. So allow me to place this into slideshow. Should it be not again transitioning, just let me know. Yes. Okay, every time I admit somebody, I go back to the main frame. So for the learning objectives for this module, so you should be able to define upon finishing this module innovation, identify the different types of innovation. Okay, it's not transitioning, I guess. Joshua.
Yes, Doc.
Cannot transfer to a different laptop because my tablet I can only write in here. It cannot be installed in my laptop, the one that I'm using when I write. So that is why I cannot transfer. Anyways, so where was I? As for the learning objectives for this module, so at the end, you should be able to define innovation, then identify the types of innovation, discuss what is idea generation, and enumerate the decision-making process. Okay, all being part of having to come up with a business model that you want to make. Now, I'll try to have this projected, and I have here a video to show everybody. Let me know if you won't be able to see the video.
What is innovation? Dots. Many, in fact, most people, believe that the dots they see every day are all the dots there are. So life goes along according to these known dots. Decisions and solutions are based on these commonly known dots as well.
You cannot see the video.
Yes, Doc. Ang kita lang naman ang PowerPoint, Doc.
I'll try to go to my videos and share it from there if I can. Okay, just a minute. The block lang. Okay, wait lang.
As well as many conclusions too. Some companies build their entire businesses on these known dots.
I'll go back to my screen. Okay, so we go to the first learning objective, and that you should be able to define innovation. Let me just. Okay, so what is innovation? So it is primarily the developing, the creating of new concepts and new ideas that will be useful for the target customer. So take note that we always have this target customer as our main goal. So we develop new ideas based on the needs, the perceived needs of these target customers that we have in mind. Now, according to the former President of the United States, Barack Obama, as quoted in Business Week's innovation to him is the creation of something that improves the way of lives, the way we live our lives. Or we can now separate, we can never separate, we can't separate innovation from technology, because we can only have a greater enjoyment of our lives when we have innovation incorporated with technology. Technology continually improves because of innovation, with the simple goal of making our lives even more enjoyable and to make our lives better, as just like what Mr. Obama mentioned in his quote in Business Weeks. Now, as to the types of innovation, so we have 4, and this is presented and shared to you in Canvas, but I'm not sure if it could be as clear as this one. So I'm going to share to you this PowerPoint as well. So we look into the 4 types of innovation on how well they are defined in terms of their domain and how well is the problem defined. So we look on the different types of innovation based on how well was the problem defined and how solutions were sought to find the answer to the problem and how well is the domain defined. So if you notice, class, on how well the problem is defined and how well is the domain defined, it's all well, they all cross in here on the sustaining innovation. Whereas there is not a well-defined problem or the problem is not well-defined, so is the domain of that particular innovation not well-defined when we only have what we call the basic research. Now, the breakthrough innovation has a well-defined problem. However, the domain is not as well-defined compared to the sustaining innovation. Another type in here is in the blue sphere below the sustaining innovation is this time we have a very well-defined domain, meaning the scope. However, the problem is not well-defined. The problem that we're talking of in here is the problem based on the perception of the target customers, or yes, based on the perception of our target market. So as to where this well for the problem definition and to the scope of the solution, it is all in here on the sustaining innovation. Now, based on this particular diagram, now we're going to look into each of the definition or the terms that we can coin to these different types of innovation. So let's start with the not well-defined domain or scope and not very well-defined problem. So why is it not very well-defined in terms of the problem and not very well-defined in terms of the scope? So that's basic research. So basic research can have this particular synonym words connected or correlated to it. So we have strategic, it could be fundamental, it could be curiosity driven only, it could be researcher controlled, and it could be autonomous. So since it is researcher controlled, we say it's autonomous. So one person or a group of individual has the mere say on where will the research proceed or go, or how, when will it will stop. So that's basic research. Now, it is also connected to activities. This is according to only one persona by Galbranson. This is also related to activities that have no practical application in mind. So this is according to him. I'm not saying that all research has no practical application, but according to him, some does not really have at the beginning any practical application. So in our view as engineers or would-be engineers in your case, some researchers for us may not have any practical application, especially those that are related to question type research or relational research. Maybe they don't have that direct or practical application in a field. So that is why probably the reason why Mr. Gobranson has said this no practical application in mind at the start, because it's something that is only based on the perception of the researcher. I have this problem, I want to correlate these two things, and I need questions on how I'll be able to correlate them. So I have to give out these questionnaires, submit these questionnaires to people who are knowledgeable in these fields that I'm going to correlate. To us, probably it has no practical application, but to him it has. So it really depends on the viewpoint of the one who's making the research. That is why we have this particular mindset of Gobranson, which is it doesn't have any practical application. But generally, we say basic research in innovation is practically a basis that will improve a product or a service that will gratify our target customer. So we do research, we we sent out questionnaires to our target customers on how well they receive our products now, and what probably what um, additional features they want added to it. That way they will most likely have greater use of it, or they will have more, they will enjoy more our product or service. So that is why we sent out these customers, and that's basic research. So its main aim is actually to gratify the customer. So we'd like to know what more they want to our existing product and services, and uh, is the existing product and services even in the first place acceptable to them or not. So that's basic research. So in terms of the definition of the problem, is not as explicit and well defined as the sustaining innovator or innovation, or it's not as well defined compared to the breakthrough innovation. So this is basic research only. Now let's look into the other one, which is the disruptive innovation. So something that disrupts the existing, so disruptive innovation. So companies here did not pay too much attention on the small business because they are most likely to focus on how they will improve their products and services. Now, how will they improve their products and services? So the process is whereby a new company simply storms into a market, a target market, performs, displaces, and disrupts established brands and players in the market. So we are accustomed to a particular brand, to a particular technology in the market. We're already good with it, but here comes a new player, disrupts our frame of thinking, disrupts the established brands already, and offers something new, and offer something which is more enjoyable probably, or even more cost effective or cost efficient than the existing. So that is why it's called disruptive innovation. Now, disruptive innovation, as described from Google, says does not improve or enhance products and services for the same target customers. So they want to widen their scope of customer, they want to widen their market. So they want to enhance and improve their product, but with an increase in the target market already, not the existing market that they have. No, it is a process also that leverages technology to make such products and services affordable and available to a larger non-target market or non-targeted market. Now, the best example that I have seen so far for this disruptive innovation is the Amazon Kindle. I hope everybody knows what Amazon Kindle is. So you have a small tablet, and the books that you have in that particular tablet, the books that you would rather have physically in your shelves at home, or you would have to buy physically and read, now you can have access on this small tablet, the Amazon Kindle. So it displaced and disrupted the book selling industry because it could display its innovation and inventory without owning a physical store in any location. So there are books that are not available in the Philippines. You can buy those books in other parts of the world. But now you can have access on those particular libraries or books just by purchasing the Amazon Kindle. So it's disruptive because people probably 10 years ago are just so used to going to the library, find a particular resource material, and read from that physical substance, that particular book where that material that he wants to read is. But now you can have access to that through the Kindle. So by so doing, Amazon makes the books available and accessible to all customers, regardless of their physical location. You need not be in Europe, you need not be in London to have access on books that can only be bought in London. Or if you really are the type who wants to see this book physically, you also have Amazon to buy these books physically and then have it sent to you through courier. But the thing is, you need not have to incur so much expense for freight, added to that the cost of the book just to have the book physically. So the downside of this particular technology is, what if your Kindle will not work anymore? So that's it. So it's disruptive, it's easy, but also you have to take care of it, because if your Kindle will not work anymore, then the equivalent of the books inside it could not be accessed by you anymore. Then you have to buy another one, of course. Okay, that's for disruptive innovation. Now, another one is, of course, Google itself. So we have all the information we need. If we don't know anything, we want to access something, all we have to do is go to Google, and by the click of our hand, we have already the information that we want to get. So it is a search engine solution that makes it possible for the world to find answers and solutions to pressing questions with just one click. So over the years, so it's not just you get the information that you want for just one click, but also Google allows those IT individual to have access to open source technology. They need not buy by the thousands those softwares that Google's have it for free for them. So, and we even have these virtual assistants that can make easier for those who want to, whose multitasking is already leveled up, and they want this virtual assistant so they can have it through Google. So these are samples of disruptive innovations or disruptive technologies. They break the existing practice. In the process, they make lives easier for us. Okay. Now we go to the third one. We have the breakthrough innovation. So I'll just finish the type. So breakthrough innovation. So according to idea scale, it is defined as an innovation from inside a company that pushes something to the next level. So it is innovation that opens the company to new markets or changes the way the customer interact with the market or the industry. One classic example that by Googling, you'll get right away the answer is, of course, our iPhones. So it's it is the father of all breakthrough innovation in terms of the gadgets. And it has started from the simplest iPhone to the iPhones that we have now. So it has so many features already in just one tiny package that all our probably people who are into business can manage their business in that particular tiny package in their hands. So that's how iPhone has evolved through the years and has incorporated features that shall I say, the gadgets that we enjoy then does not have. So that is why it's under this particular type of innovation, the breakthrough innovation. Now, related to iPhone, iPhone can also be an example of sustaining innovation. So from the simplest iPhone that was started year 2007 to the one that we have now, I don't even know what's the latest in the market in terms of the iPhone models. So we have the 5S, the 6S, then you have even the pluses to this model. So the innovation is being sustained by the company itself. The added features to it that are not present to the previous one. And as such, that particular brand, the iPhone, is sustained in the market. So that's sustaining innovation. Another term for it is routine innovation. They check on the current features and make incremental innovation on the current features and come up with a new one. So that is why the 5S is not as shall I say, it's not a come on now to the market, but we have the the 13, the XR, and those iPhones which have several cameras already as their features. So for today, we'll just cover this topic, the types of innovation and the innovation. Next week, we'll have idea presentation and decision making as part of this module. So your quiz next week will only cover until the types of innovation that I have covered this afternoon. So the remaining two topics will be discussed after the very short quiz, probably 10 to 15-minute quiz only. Do you have any questions for now? Okay, so if there's none, I'll stop sharing.